Alright, how's it guys? Another video on building cages and things. This is the racking unit I've sort of come up with. I have made a unit before, which is a little bit different, so this one is taking a different twist. But yeah, I'm quite happy with how it's coming together. So we just got one of the units partially up. We're just going to go through a few of the things, how it's built and everything. And we're going to be putting another unit like this as well. So we've got each of these drawers with nice stainless steel handles. Okay, and they're just running on half round piece of wood which is underneath the enclosure here. I decided to go with this. It's a cheaper method than going with the ball bearing, stainless steel ball bearing rails which I've gone with before. Okay, so we've got our nice 6mm glass pane window. So if any of these break, it's very easy for me just to replace it. We're going to obviously seal it in with marine silicone as well. And we've got a nice aluminium top lip that just finishes it off very well. We might also put aluminium channel over these strips as well, just to finish up the unit as well. So inside, you can see it opens up fairly easily. And inside it's all nicely pool coated. So we can actually fill this enclosure with water. Obviously the only place which might be a problem is where we put the handle on. So it's not going to hold water. It's obviously going to hold damp substrate and things like that, and we're going to seal around the bolts here as well. So these are stainless steel bolts as well, so they don't rust, and we might just put silicone around it to keep it nice and safe as well. So this is 18mm shutterboard, and the base is a 6mm marine fly. So it's all just pool coated so that it's nice, easy to clean, watertight. So these units are going to last forever. Okay, so it just goes in nicely. It's very easy just to have a look and inspect, so we don't have to open every time to see what's going on in there. A lot of the time with the racks with the opaque plastic, you can't see, you have to open it. We're using this rack for housing some of our young growing animals, and then also some ambush predators like puff adders and things like that, which don't need to move around too much. Your ambush predators are pretty lazy, sitting waiting for food. They can thermoregulate in a very small space. We're going to pop a heating pad just up over here. So the heating pad fits nice and underneath here. It doesn't come into contact. It's going to give a nice gentle heat. And the way we rig up the heating pad is to actually put a bit of material down. Then we put the heat pad on top of the material. The reason we do that is so that the heat is not drawn out into the wood, it's all focused up. And then we're putting a tile on top of that. And it's all going to be controlled with a thermostat or most likely a dimmerstat, so we can also set a day and night temperature. And then just to look at the roof of the shelves, we've got one over here. So you can see also pool coated, nice and easy for cleaning, disinfecting if you're putting a new animal in. Okay, and then this mesh is fitted inside the pool coat. Right, so the pool coat is just a fiberglass resin. It's the last layer they put on in a swimming pool. Water cannot penetrate through it at all. So it's really, really good. And fitting the mesh in this way is nice and cheap and easy. This mesh here is a fiberglass mesh. Now, just in case we have any problems with like rodents or some insects that could possibly eat through this, on the outer side we're going to fit a galvanized steel mesh, just so that there's no way that an animal can actually get out. The gap's also pretty small for the animals we're going to house in here, but it is a possibility that they could get through there. Okay, and the reason why we use this nice soft mesh is something like cobras and that, they always like to find a way out. If they can feel any sort of indent, so say I've put the mesh on the other side here, and the snake feels like, oh, I want to get out, and he's like, oh, I can get further this way, and there's a nice steel mesh, he's going to rub his face off. So with this soft mesh flush with this, then they don't tend to try too hard at getting out there. So we've used this method with our other racks as well. It works really, really well. Okay, so we're just going to get to assembling the last one, and then once we all up and running, we might cover a little bit of the other components we're adding, the heating and all that. Then we'll show you guys the finished product. Okay, so we finished the units. I've done the silicone and made a little bit of a mess, so there's going to be certain areas we're going to need a little bit of a touch up and paint work and stuff again. But as I said, we're probably going to put aluminium strips over these areas. Obviously wood also kind of droops over time, so if we put aluminium strips, it's going to help to hold it up nicely. And then the other thing is the wooden dowels, like the half rounds that I put on underneath here, because wood's not always 100% straight. Some of them don't have much of a gap, so we're just going to sort of sand it down and work it nicely. So in the end it'll all come together really nice. It works easy enough. And the other thing is we also cut these at a 90-degree angle, so they might actually start hooking into the wood. So what we'll do is we're going to sand them at a 45-degree angle with a belt sander, which is going to just help it to go in much smoother. So yeah, overall quite happy with it, and just a matter of fitting on the heating and then getting our critters in here. Cool. Okay, so we're going to be fitting the heating to this unit, and we're using these foil heat pads, which has got a nice adhesive side to it. Okay, and then we're using this as an insulator and a ceramic tile, which I just had cut in half so that it's the right size. Now normally if we use a tile with a heat pad, just to protect the heat pad and everything and maybe dissipate the heat, we normally use a tile at least twice the size of the heat pad, so it gives you a nice warm center, and the heat will sort of dissipate throughout the tile, giving a nice soft sort of heating rather than it being too much. But always thermostats is a must. That's the only way to control the temperature properly. So it really depends how you rig up a heat pad as how hot it's going to get. Now for this instance we need the heat to get quite warm, because it's got to heat through a little bit of air and 6mm plywood with the pool coat and the substrate and everything that's going to be in the container. So that's why we're going for the tile the same size. Now if I went through this rig and I didn't put a probe or anything to control the temperature with a thermostat, this is going to get extremely hot, and you wouldn't want that inside a cage with a snake or anything. It can actually burn, probably even cook an egg. I think in later videos we'll actually do a test as to how hot it's going to get, but I've done this exact setup before. I had it running for about 2 years, also on a racking unit, and it's working 100%. So that's why I haven't even tested these heat pads. Not that they give any issues. Pretty much 100% of them work. So what I normally do is I'll just fit them in, silicone them down and everything, and that is it. And they all work. Okay, so we just peel that off. I'm going to stick it around about in the middle, and you can see it sticks really nice. Stick all the way around the edging, and then we just run our fingers through the gaps where we can, just so that it does stick it down really nice. Now obviously with this being aluminium foil, aluminium is very good for spreading the heat. Okay, so with like an aluminium sheet, if you heat it in the middle, the whole sheet gets as warm. It's very good at spreading heat, and that's why a lot of frying pans and things are made with aluminium. Okay, and then this heat pad is going to sit on top of this material, and the reason I'm doing that is that I don't want the heat to be sucked down into the wood. Okay, this wood will suck out a lot of heat, and also maybe heat the roof of the next enclosure. So doing it like this, we're going to silicone all the way around the gaps so that this is nicely fitted in place. We kind of weigh it down a bit, but all the heat is going to be focused up into the tile. Okay, and then obviously it has that very little airspace. It actually worked quite nicely with the height and everything. And then the 6mm plywood, and then obviously the substrate. So the snake's only going to be sitting here once the heat comes through. So even if this did stay on permanently and something happened to the thermostat, it's not going to cause a problem. The snake's going to get too warm, it's going to move to that side. Okay, so we always want to sort of make a rig that it's not going to get too hot and end up burning the animal. Okay, so it's just a matter of fitting these in and siliconing them in place, and then we've got a few other things to do and wiring it up obviously. Okay, so we're just fitting this galvanized mesh on here now, and this is a secondary barrier just in case the fiberglass mesh gets broken. And then we've got stainless steel staples, so we're just going to go around stapling it in all over. Okay. Okay, so we can staple it. And I've got it very short over here because the leg comes running right past here. Okay, well this is the top shelf, so there is no drawer. But still, with all the others, it's gonna need that space for the rails. Okay, so we just pin it down all around, and that way nothing is going to get through. Okay, every now and again I actually hit the wire. Oh, that spot really doesn't like it. Third time lucky. Okay, so we're just going all the way around just to make sure it's nice and fitted. I'm also working on from the back end, which has got less space, but we're just doing this so you guys can actually see what's going on. There again, hit the wire. Rather too many than too little. Okay, so there's absolutely no way I can get through. And the reason again we don't want this mesh on the inside is because it's going to act like a cheese grater if a snake's trying to get out. It's very rough and hard, so rather the mesh is very soft and gentle on them. Cool, so we're just going to fit all of those and then we're ready just to wire up. So we're at my Belleville branch now, and this is the units that we want to replace, these white ones here. We want them to sort of blend in with the black units which are on the sides here. So the new unit is a bit wider than these cages, and it's going to give the snakes more floor space, and they don't use the space above because we've got mostly puff adders housed here at the moment. So we're going to see what it looks like when it's looking all nice and uniform here. And then we've still got more packing space on top for all our products and excess stock. First unit is in place, and we've connected all the heating. So we've got this one running at 32 degrees on the hotspot. So you can see it's 32.1, very accurate, these dimmer stats. And they're a little bit tight, but easy enough to work with, nice and solid. And we want to just actually go and check the temperatures. Okay, we got 31.1. Okay, depending on what surface this temp gun hits, it can also give slightly different. 31.6, so 0.5 degree difference. Obviously heat does rise, so rack unit it can rise. This one's only 0.1 degree of a difference to this second level. Okay, this one's exactly the same, and there's 28.5 on the other side, and there's 31.1. so they're all within 0.5 of a degree, which is extremely accurate. I'm very, very happy with that. So we're just going to get this one kitted out. We need to still go and get the other one and fix that one up, and then we'll have a nice wall of units here. So as you guys can see, we've got both rack units in place now. The one rack unit is empty, and that is because we're obviously going through the lockdown here in South Africa, and just can't get certain materials and things like that, so we're just doing the testing of the thermostats and everything, but all running 100%. They're currently on the nighttime temperature because it's quite early this morning. So we've just got a Andean milk snake in one, we've got a red spitter in this one, nice albino rattlesnake here, and hopefully we'll be giving them further upgrades soon as well on our 2 puff adders, all of which have eaten 2 days of being in these enclosures. It's a bit soon for introducing food for an animal in a new enclosure, but these animals are pretty well established and they're not fussy. Unfortunately, I cracked this piece of glass. It was the last piece of glass I was fitting, and the reason it cracked is the grooves and the wood kind of twisted, so as it went in it was under too much tension. So I'm gonna have to just do a little fix-up job on that one, but otherwise I'm extremely happy. All working really well, looks nice and neat. Just got to paint the legs and things over here so that everything's nice and matching. But yeah, extremely stoked with how it's come out, giving housing for more animals. I'm probably gonna house some juvenile retics and maybe some boas in this unit. Those animals are for sale, but they're growing out of the racks, so they need a little upgrade, so they'll be perfectly adequate housing over here. Alright, so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's just nice and helpful to show you how you guys can use other materials to make racks. So more than fine if you guys want to steal the ideas, or if it can help anybody. I'm quite happy with how they've come out. You can see my other units on the side over here. These are the ball bearing joint units, and this is my locking mechanism for them. So you can see the ball bearing runners, they're quite nice and smooth, but I've had issues with 1 or 2 levels. That's why I decided just to try this method out. It's a lot more rustic and all that, but it works. So this whole method works really nice for locking in all of the units like that. Okay, so yeah, hopefully you guys can steal some ideas from this. I hope it helps with housing animals. But I mean, always, if possible, let's try and give our animals nice big enclosures with naturalistic plants and all that bioactive substrate. That's definitely the way to go. Hopefully one day I'll be able to display these animals. We are also looking for more space, even another place to set up a display. So yeah, it would be awesome to give each and every one of these animals a nice big enclosure to display them in. Alright, so guys, please like and subscribe. We'll try and get more content out, but obviously with the whole lockdown makes things a little bit difficult. We can't get access to our animals all the time, unfortunately. This park here at Stodels, we only allowed access for about 2 hours every second day while they're watering the plants. So we got to try and do everything we can. I've cleaned up most things, so that's why I just thought I'd grab a little bit of a snippet of a video, can finish this video and publish it. Alright, let's check out this guy. Oh, he's so cool. His name's Jigsaw, albino western diamondback. I've got a normal one at the one park as well, but I quite like having a little bit of variation as well. Cool, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, subscribe, and check you on the next one.